All right, now we're down to reassembly. And I have to admit that I've tasted my own medicine and I have found it to be a bit bitter. So here's why. When you take stuff apart, and I figured this out when I was doing the Marshall DSL 100, when you take stuff apart, obviously it has to go together the same way it went apart. Now, in the case of wiring, and this is a good example, the circuit board, the PCB that came out of the pedal, you've got lots of wires that go to lots of connectors on the board. That's the way things are built nowadays. You know, things are modular, might have different boards, different little subboards. Like this has a board for the input and the output. It has another board for switching. It has this main board that also includes the LED and the LED sensing. What is that? A diode? I can't remember. Anyway, it's an optical wah. So that's basically where this part right here interrupts the light or changes the amount of light that passes between those two things. That's how an optical wah works. And that's the same way that a Morley wah works. This is actually metal. Morley uses a little piece of cardboard in there, so it's not really quite as durable. But you know, it's not like you're getting inside the pedal too much and really messing around with it. So that's a pretty cool feature for optical wahs. That, you know, sometimes these LEDs will go bad. You'll need to replace them, and that might be the case here, but we'll figure that out. But anyway, lots of connectors, you know, and these boards are all manufactured. All of the components are soldered in, and then the boards are all connected. Well, at the factory, everybody knows how the boards are connected, and everything's all happy. And when you pull a board like this out, what you need to do is take pictures or video or something whenever you're disconnecting things so you know how to put them back together. Most pedals will have one board, maybe two, pretty straightforward controls. That Marshall DSL has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, maybe more different boards that have just all sorts of connections. So when I took it apart and put it back together, what I did was very specific about taking some video of that. But what I didn't do on this pedal was take video of this part. So if you look down here, so this is that switch that goes from manual to auto. And what it basically does is it disconnects the spring so you can leave the wah in a particular position and then use the foot switch to turn it on and off, this foot switch. If it's in auto, then whenever you step on it and move it, once it starts to engage that optical sensor, then the wah turns on. So that's the function of this mechanism right here. It basically disconnects the spring, because if it's on optical mode or auto mode, then when it returns to the rear position, not the toe position, that's when it turns off. So that's the whole purpose of that spring and this mechanism. And that slide is to disconnect the spring and allow it to engage the optical sensor as an on-off. Otherwise, the spring, wait a minute, I had that backwards. When the spring is engaged, that's when the on-off function is also being performed by that optical sensor. When the spring is disengaged, that's when the pedal switch is engaged and you can leave it in any position. It's not going to return to the heel position because the spring's not moving it around. Long story short, this is a few different parts. So this piece right here is a part, and then there's a little paddle down there. What that does is that actually, I believe, tightens the action of the wah pedal itself. But what I didn't do when I took this apart was take a picture of this particular part of the wah. So I've been spending the last couple hours, a little bit last night and some time this morning, not yet, but I will spend some time, trying to figure out how the hell it goes back together. So lesson learned, even though I know the lesson and I usually practice that on a regular basis. Make sure that when you take something apart, you take good pictures or videos so that you can document how it comes apart so that you can get it back together.